Tinubu, that is the word that is used to describe the stock market performance this morning because, of course, the gains has continued on the floor of the market. Of course, that gain that we saw all through the week, and of course, since the new administration took office, has continued till today, and the market is doing really, really well, and that has been described as of course, Tinubu. When the market is doing well, we call it is on the bullish run. But now that he's also doing well, and the reflection is actually as a result of the decisions that has been taken so far by the current administration. So that acronym best describes the current market performance. It's on that note that I welcome you to Business Daily. I am Yusuf Akogu. We take our top stories. Glad to have you back. Now we take you to the stock market and, of course, to see how the market fared yesterday. Of course, we start from the snapshots of the market. The market closed positive yesterday, 3.13%. Of course, record the previous day, it was 3.99%. That is a huge run there we are seeing in the market. And, of course, the market capitalization increasing there by over 2 trillion in the last couple of days to 32.7 trillion naira. Of course, the all-share index very, very close to 60,000 basis points. That is a huge gain that the market has recorded in the last couple of days. Of course, the volume of trade, 1.4 billion volume of shares exchange hands among investors on the day. Of course, indeed, in terms of value, 21.080 billion naira there in terms of value of the shares that were traded on the floor. And of course, if you look at the deals, double-digit deal, 11,947 deals, a huge number of deals there, you will say, in a one-day trading day. It's been a very, very long time that Nigerian stock market has witnessed this kind of performance on a single day trading. Then we look at the gainers for the day. Of course, you look at the big boys are actually back on the table: Seplat, MTN, and of course Dangote Sugar. These are all bellwether stock. When we talk bellwether stock, we're talking about the highly capitalized stocks on the NGX bourse. Of course, if you look at it, the Seplat gained 1,320 naira on a single day trading. That is a huge number. If you are an investor in that company, you will be smiling to bank today, of course, and it's standing strong there at 10%. And of course, if you look at MTN Nigeria, MTN recorded a gain of 284 naira 90 kobo. That is also a very huge gain there. These are very highly capitalized stocks. Of course, indeed, when they show up on the top, on the gainers table, you know that they are coming with a bang. Also strong there, 10% as well. Of course, Dangote Sugar, whatever happened to Dangote, indeed, you know it affects the capital market, because in terms of market capitalization, Dangote alone is very, very strong on the floor. 25 naira 30 kobo it gained on Wednesday, and of course, to also close strong there at 10%. Indeed, a very, very good performance from the market movers, the big players in the capital market. We look at the losers table. Of course, we have the like of Farmadeco. Farmadeco is losing the 2 naira and 6 kobo there to close downward there, 9.65%. These are some of the medium capitalized stock indeed. Of course, Computer Warehouse Group, CWG, also losing 1 naira 63 kobo there, down 9.44%. So what we're seeing is that the big boys are back, and of course, I wouldn't want to say the others are actually returning back to their usual territory. Indeed, the market is a dynamic place. You can be on top today and of course return to the bottom tomorrow. Of course, NNFM is also there, losing 12 naira 65 kobo to close downward at 8.66%. Interesting, not so interesting, but again, we hope that they will return to the top in the next trading session. We look at the top traded equities. Of course, the market movers, all of them from the banking sector: United Bank for Africa, UBA, Guaranty Trust Bank, and of course Zenith Bank. All together, all of them, I mean, doing 231 million shares, 125, and of course 119 million volume of shares. If you add it up, this is close to 500 or more million volume of shares traded among these three Taiwan banks. Of course, the market is indeed captivating at this point. We look at the performance in terms of sectors. Of course, the banking sector recording a remarkable gain there, 26.52%. Of course, if you look at the performance, that what we saw there on the top trade table, you know that it's dominated by the banking sector. So you will not be surprised when you see the banking sector doing this massive return. Recording this massive return on a single day trading. Records are being created, and of course, as well, also being broken as well on the market. And it appears that the investors are actually returning back to the market, as it were. The foreign portfolio investors who were not here before are actually looking at taking the advantage of the stability that is beginning to set in the economy, and of course to return to the markets, to the equities market. So to the industrial sector, down there 1.13% in a negative territory. The color there is this thing, so it's supposed to be red there. Consumer goods index is also doing greatly there, 4.09%. Of course, Dangote Sugar making that impressive record there that has affected the sector. The oil and gas sector, of course, 16.01%. It's a huge gain as well. It is for that sector as well. And if you go down to the insurance sector, the one we usually call the penny stocks is also strong there, 22.98%. Interesting record and development we are seeing in the index there. So what we're actually seeing, we hope that this will continue like this in the coming days. So we'll look at the rest of Africa and see how they're actually faring. Of course, TUSE, Tunisia stock market, down there in the northern Africa is, of course, close negative there. Not so, it's marginal anyway. So you see it in red. Of course, if you go down to NMSE in Namibia Stock Exchange, closed downward as well, 0.21%. And of course, if you go to TUSE in Tanzania, in the Eastern Africa, it also closed negative, 0.12%. It seems the rest of Africa are red, while Nigeria is flying very, very high in green, in the bullish territory, as we are actually seeing interesting development there that is happening in the market. And this is not unconnected with the unified exchange rate that has taken place in the Nigerian economy as it is. Of course, the house cleaning in the monetary policy is indeed going on right now. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at that immediately when we come back from this break. Don't go away.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
Created a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secure are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Already, if you look at English squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
Glad to have you back. It's the Business Daily right here on Trust Television. Now we're looking at the stock market reaction to the new exchange rate policy, the unifying exchange rates that indeed is being implemented in our economy. And I have joining me from Lagos, a financial analyst, Mukhtar Mohammed. Good morning, Mukhtar.
Good morning, Yusuf.
Good to see you.
Same here.
Absolutely. We are seeing a Tinubu effect in the capital market. What can you say to that?
Well, we started with the inaugural rally. We called it the pronouncement rally. We moved to the Emefiele sack rally. And then yesterday we're in the unification rally. So we don't know what will come next. But it has been a good time for the stock market. I think the policies have been fine. It has been positive on the stock market. And that's why we are seeing the type of response we're seeing from the market.
Interesting development there. Do you see investors taking position at this stage? Because we're actually seeing the big boys in the market, I mean, coming to the fore now, the likes on Dangote, MTN, and of course, some of the big caps are back on their usual territory, the gainers counters.
Well, the big boys are there. I hope they will be there for a while. If you look at the reforms, when you talk about removal of subsidy, which I call the pronouncement rally, you saw that the oil and gas sector have been enjoying that policy. When you talked about the Emefiele removal, then you realize that the banking sector have been enjoying that unification of the exchange, and the banking sector also have been enjoying it. So definitely those sectors will definitely enjoy the market. Based on your indices during the opening of the program, you realize that it's only the industrial good that is doing negative. And we know why they are doing negative, because most investors are scared of going to that space because there's not been any policy statement as regard that. But when you look at the oil and gas sector, you look at the banking sector, which happen to be the most liquid sector in the market, pronouncements have gone their way. And so the big boys in that sector are really striving hard. Most of them are doing all-time high. I think the last time some of them did this was sometime in 2008. So what we are seeing now, we are seeing all-time high of in Zenith Bank, in GTCO, in Access Bank, and also also with First Bank even, and Access Bank.
Indeed, interesting submission there, Mr. Mukhtar. Let's look at the foreign investors' participation in the markets. Are they in a way trying to come back? Because we have a report that many of them are actually planning to return. Is the market anticipating their return back to the market?
Well, the market is actually anticipating their returns with the unified exchange rate. But now you need to ask individuals like us if we are really excited to have them back. I for one, am just excited to have them back. I call them the hot money people. They come in, make the money. When your economy is down, they look for a way to escape. The local investors have been able, local investors, retail investors, local institutional investors have been able to build this market and have confidence in the market. And I wish and I believe that if these local and institutional investors will still remain in the market, then the type of volatility we see when we have crisis will come down, because definitely, like I always say, the stock market is like the life of a man. It will have its crisis time. And when a man has crisis, it's who stays behind the man that benefit when the man begin to recover. So the Nigerian investors that have been there for a while, they are the ones smiling now. And if the foreign investors comes in, we must be very cautious of them.
Interesting there. At a point, we understand that the foreign investors were actually controlling over 50% of the market, but as it is now, it's almost 100% local participation. So what would you say to local investors who are probably will now have to compete with their foreign counterparts who may come in with more money?
Well, it's win-win for them because they come in with more money, demand and supply. So what happens is that the local investor might not be able to buy more any longer. But what he has, he will enjoy a lot of capital appreciation. And he might just decide to be the one to sell it to the foreign investors. And by the time the foreign investors are trying to run out of the market, definitely he will be planning to come in from what the proceeds that he has gotten before. So it all depends on your investment strategy or your goal and what you want to achieve. But I think there's no better place to be at this moment than the Nigerian stocks market.
Interesting. Then now let's move to the exchange rate proper now. The Naira has been floated. I understand you are one of those who have canvassed for this for a very long time. You've said that they should allow Naira to find its level. Now that has been done. What do you think is the implication? What is the implication of this for the economy?
Well, Yusuf, you hit the nail there. I've been one that have advocate for the unified exchange rate, and I'm still solidly behind the policy. My only fear is liquidity, but that fear was addressed yesterday when I looked at the transaction on the import-export window. I realized that transaction was up about 65 point something %, and those transactions was all those things were met, and also the forward transaction came down by 31%, which showed that there was a lot of liquidity in the I&E window, which happened to be the real window of the market. Now call it the real window, because that's the market determining window. It went from it started with 475, went to 500, from 500 went to 600, 650, 770, 755, and 750, and then closed at 664, which shows that the market was really driven by investment sentiment, which has to do with the buying and seller agreement. So for me, it's a very, very good one. Like I said, my only challenge is that do we have the liquidity to meet demands? If I was the government now, I would just begin to look at how I can pay up all the airline companies that have been in Nigeria and tell them, look, this is your money, and that will bring confidence in the market. That will make people think that we have the liquidity to support this market. No economic float is currency. There will be a time whereby the CBN must have to intervene systematically to make sure rates are not overplotted. So for me, it's a win-win situation for us as it stands now.
Indeed, as it stands now, I'm worried about the value of Naira going forward, given our position in the global economy.
Yeah, the value of Naira going forward, like I said, all depends on liquidity. If we have a lot of liquidity, this policy comes in, you attract foreign investors, both foreign direct investors, both portfolio investors, you attract Nigeria and the diaspora down, they begin to remit directly into the account. Then okay, you mustn't forget that NNPC will be able to remit directly to CBN. They've not done that for over a year now, because they say what they gain in terms of price, in high price of crude, they lose in terms of refined petroleum products. So when you look at that, put all together, there is always needs to say that the Naira will not take the kind of batting that we expect it to take, because we will have the liquidity to support it.
Interesting then. Now let's look at what this means to students, of course, Nigerian students who are studying abroad. What does it mean to them at this point? Because we know they had a special window that has been closed now.
No special window, no RX 200 window, no PTA window, no BTA window, no medical window. It's just one window. So what happened to Nigerian student abroad? Your cost of your school fees has just gone up without without the school even raising it. So your government that raised your school fees high. That is exactly what it means for them.
So would this in any way discourage them from going to study abroad?
Don't forget that, Yusuf. Nigerians are all determined to get knowledge. So they're already there. They will say they're already there. They will say it in local parlance. We will rougher.
Okay, what about for businesses? Is this like a double-edged sword for them?
It is a double-edged sword. Depends on where you are. I mean, if you are a manufacturer that thus far you've not been able to access FX in the I&E window, you can easily access now, so it's an advantage for you. If you are the manufacturer, then you have already accessed FX through the parallel market at 750. It's a disadvantage for you, because the one that access at 664 will bring good at a cheaper rate, but you that access at 750 will not want to sell at a loss. So definitely depends on which side of the device you are. But on the long run, it's going to be good for the market. It's going to help the market. It's going to deepen the market. It's going to make sure there is transparency in the market. And this is what we have been craving for a very long time. There's been a lot of lack of transparency when it comes to the dealing in FX transaction in this country.
No, interesting. Mr. Mukhtar, would this in any way also help in de-dollarizing the Nigerian economy? It seems to focus more on dollar than even our own Naira.
Well, once you know that Naira is all over the street, dollar is anytime you need dollar, you can get dollar. You don't have to stress to get dollar. Then the value of dollar just automatically come down. So it could be, because again, And like I said, the world has become a global village, so you don't have to restrict people to a particular currency. After all, the foreign investors that we're expecting to come will come with FX, and then we change it for them for Naira. So all we need to do is to make our economy buoyant to attract the inflow of FX. With that, then stability has come to stay.
Okay, and now, dollar is more like a legal tender here, even though it's not our own currency. But Naira is not a legal tender in America or Europe or any other country. So what do you think, what does it mean for the economy really?
It means for the economy, it means high cost. Well, that means the transaction you used to do at government rate of 475 has gone up. Government debt has also gone up without them even collecting more, because especially external debt, because at the rate they got their first 20 something now, so they're going to be paying at 755 or 6 something thereabout. So definitely it has an impact on your transaction, especially if you are the manufacturer or you are a government.
Mr. Mukhtar, Nigeria is a very big market. The global economy itself is interested in whatever happens in Nigeria. Most of the manufacturing companies in Japan, in China, in Germany, and all other places are also interested in what's happening right here in Nigeria, because, of course, we are a big market. If you go everywhere, foreign goods are all here. Is it possible for us to impose our Naira on some of these countries?
No, it's global trading policy. You don't impose your currency. And global trade, according to World Health Organization. So you don't impose your currency, you don't impose a particular product. You allow everybody that wants to come in to bring their own product. The worst you can do is to charge them high tariff.
What I mean by way of agreement.
I don't think so.
By way of agreement. That if you must trade with...
Well, those agreements really work, because if you talk about African countries, how many agreements do you want to have, and how many of these countries do you really have trade with? How many of these countries do your citizen goes to visit and then do a lot of activities there? So when they are going, they give them the Naira and then they collect their own currency, or they give them the Naira. So, but it's very difficult for that to work. It's just like what we are saying about countries saying, oh, we don't want to belong to the United States of America. But yet, most of your trade conversion and everything is done with the United States of America.
So now, having that done in America, is there any way we can actually move them back to Abuja here?
Create your market. Bring in the right policy. Traffic will just generally flow to your direction.
There's much talk about we moving from consumption to production. Do you think, so though you did say that no policy statement has been made about the industrial sector so far, do you think by doing that we may be able to, control how we demand forex?
Exactly. We've not had any statements, so we'll just sit down and wait. But it seems to be better from that sector. Everything is going to work out fine for that sector in the long run, especially in the area of transactions, especially if governments decide to build more infrastructure. That is the sector that they will patronize more. So I still think there's a lot of value in that sector. But for now, it's going to take time. It's going to take gradual process. It begins to attack each sector as he wants. But the banking sector is the life wire of this economy. That's why I felt it needed to deal with that issues and then in turn move to the oil and gas sector. It's moving to the oil and gas sector because of the type of debt that they owe some of this money deposit bank.
Interesting there. For Nigerians now who are actually listening to you right now, watching you right now, what are the criteria do they need to possess, to assess this forex at across banking counters?
Well, we have not had a clear policy statement on that, but yes, you can still use a trade system online. You apply that money to CBN, and the CBN will give them, and then they will give you. I think that is the platform they are using as at this time. It has not changed.
Okay. Finally, just before we go now, what do you think will be the reaction of the market today? Are we going to see more of this reaction to the unified exchange rate, or they may likely be going to be a profit taking?
There will be probably at the time, but there will be issue centered the unification. It depends on how much you bought it at that time and how much you want to exit it at this time.
Mukhtar Mohammed, financial analyst, I must thank you for your time on Business Daily today.
My pleasure, Yusuf. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. That was quite educative there from Mukhtar Mohammed, all the way from talking to us there from Lagos via Zoom. And it's on that note that we'll wrap the Business Daily today. Join us tomorrow for more. I am Yusuf Akogu.